Welcome to the home of Star Witch, where we explore witch lore and astrology for all cunning magical folk. I invite you to join me, your host Mikailah, with a cup of your favourite magical elixir and indulge in some tantalising spellcrafting and witchy conversations. Hey beautiful magical folk, welcome to another witchy episode, and this one's going to give me absolute delight. This is the Ancestral Homecoming, and it is about calling yourself back home and reconnecting, reuniting yourself with your ancestral roots. And I'm recording this in the solstice gateway, the season of Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. And it encapsulates the primal instinctual energy that is within us all. The primordial womb, the sacred waters, the holy waters, and the embodiment of the great mother goddess that is returning us home to ourselves. In astrology, the moon symbolizes a deep homecoming and discovering the great mother goddess and the deepest remembering. To me, she is walking us home along the pathway that walks us home to meet our ancestors. And this is also the path that where you walk to the lands where you were born, but I also invite you to trace back the ancestral line of where you come from. A couple of years ago, I recently discovered a missing foremother, a missing part of my ancestral story. I was very blessed to take part in an initiation with an Indigenous grandmother, and it was here that I met a foremother that I'd never connected with before, and in spirit she welcomed me home as her great-great-granddaughter. So there is a very special invitation today to retrace your ancestral footsteps and to trace the ley lines or the song lines of where you have come from. Now, we're not always privy to the genealogy of our family tree or knowing our maternal, our mother, or our paternal father lines. We may not have known our grandparents or our great-grandparents or our great-great-grandparents' names. So what I would invite you to do, and this is what I share within Cosmic Witchery and my Venus Magic programs and trainings, is that a beautiful ritual to do and to research is to trace back, if you're able to the ancestral lands or the geographical location of where your ancestors may have come from. And so if I'm to trace back through my maternal, my mama's line, my grandfather came from Norfolk in England, and I have a strong connection with Norfolk magic, folklore and magic, but also on my grandmother's side, it goes back to the Irish ancestry. And there's a beautiful rekindling and reconnection with the language and culture. And this is where I love to explore and look at the area, the geographical area, and ask yourself or find out and research, are the ancestral lands, are they woodlands? Are they forest lands, as in the forest, the woodlands? Or Or are they ocean dwellers, seafaring folk, coastal people, coastal dwellers? Maybe they come from mountain tribes, the hills, the mountains, the highlands or the lowlands. And get a feel for the environment and the landscape from where your ancestors came from. Also explore the botanicals and the animals or the birds that are local to that area. If it's woodlands, what are the trees that are growing there? What are the seasons? The birds? Is there a particular mineral or rock that area is renowned for? What are the resources? And so this is where we can always learn and grow. And when I went on this journey of returning to my own roots and medicine tools, I was feeling into my ancestral cultural practices. So I have gone through a transformation and an evolution, a blossoming, and we all can go through a metamorphosis around the lessons and experiences of coming home to our ancestral stories, the folklore. And for a period of time now, I have actually put aside certain medicine tools with the greatest respect that were gifted to me from different cultural practices and different Indigenous elders, because they know respectfully that I have returned to my ancestral cultural roots, and I'm going through a deep exploration of this. Because as human beings, we are fluid and fertile, and life is not meant to be stagnant. And this is where we can come home to ourselves and start to explore our ancestral gifts and our cultural gifts through our own bloodline, through our own ancestry, our own lineage. Even exploring where you are currently living or residing, the sacred waterways, if you can go and sit and listen to the language and the songs that the waters have to sing you, whether it is your ancestral homelands or where you live now. Pay attention to the plants, for they have an intelligence connected to nature and the great Mother Goddess. Learn how to walk in a very respectful, honouring way, for there is deep medicine here in this retracing, and it is about learning to listen with incredible sensitivity to the nuances that exist in these worlds. I invite you to pay respect to the country where you were born, the country where you walk, and where you spend time connecting. But also to spend time connecting and honouring your own ancestral culture, your own ancestral story. And also exploring the healed or the unhealed versions of a narrative that may have been handed down throughout your lineage or throughout eons of time. There may be themes of exile, banishment, estrangement, occupation. And look at if there has been displacement. Has there been a displacement from your culture, your language, your roots, your family? Your sense of belonging. Sometimes exploring the finer nuances and filaments around this and what feels right for you because there may be a narrative around not belonging to a particular place, or feeling like you do not belong to a culture or a group of people or a community. And so there is also this aspect of singing ourselves home as only we know how to. And it can be to do with your soul tribe as well. For some, there is incredible grief and loss around feeling displaced from your culture, your language, your folklore, the storytelling, no matter where you travel on this amazing planet. And if this is part of your narrative or your story, I welcome you to place a hand on your heart and a hand on your solar plexus and just spend a quiet moment connecting into your heartbeat and your navel, your sense of belonging, your sacral, breathing in gently and then releasing out on a longer exhale, and giving yourself this time to support you, to create a place of stillness so that you can start to feel a sense of longing or bonding that you may not have necessarily felt so far in this life. Sometimes we need to experience this because in our humanness there are many different ways of life being multifaceted. And we have to remember that as individuals, we are empowered to release any old conditionings, societal programs, ancestral contracts that stop us from stepping into our own authenticity. And what I mean by this is that sometimes there are ancestral stories or memories that are handed down, and it may not actually be ours to carry. And so there is a process or an invitation where you are able to hand back to your ancestors that which does not belong to you or what you do not wish to carry. And this is an important aspect for us to step into our own individuality as well. When we gather our own sense of sovereignty with care for others, but we are also tracing back the ancient birth canal to our ancestral lineage. With deep honour and respect for them. But sometimes there is a handing back of that which we do not need to carry anymore. At the same time, we may also be tracing back through the great star birth canal to where your soul has incarnated from, and this is for many where they have a stronger affinity with their star seeding, their star tribe, their star home, rather than their earthy ancestral lineage. And this is where you track back the journey through the sacred womb of the great cosmic mother who is calling you home to honour the star elders. But there is also a beautiful affinity and intersectional point of honouring the ancestors of the land and the country, the sacred lands of where you walk. Sovereign law of the land, returning to sovereignty, ancestry, connection, sovereign law of the land, sovereign law of the people, of their culture, of their language, that is not under occupation, and walking the country where you live, where you reside now. You may have an incredible opportunity at some stage to return to the ancestral lands and you are able to walk and give honor and respect and send your prayers and gratitudes to the songs that are held deep within your memory. The waters will always hold the memory of your ancestors. The trees are the guardians and the elders of your ancestral lands. The moonlight, the sunlight, the stars, the ocean that encompasses Mother Earth. For our ancestral DNA resides in our bones, in our human bones. And it is prudent to listen to the old ones, to listen to the standing people, to the rock people, the water beings. There is a stone language, and I would invite you to connect with the stone people, the standing people, the plants that grow and that are sustained and nurtured, the botanicals, the wild flora and fauna. And maybe when you next come to take a drink from a cup or a sacred vessel, bless your water. For when you gaze at your reflection in water, what do you see? Because you are returning to a place of self-reflection with the moon, with the sacred waters, the ancestral ways. You may work with the sacred mirrors and the sacred waters where you see your reflection to forgive yourself for anything that has been in the past. Especially at this time of year, this is when there are the threads of nostalgic remembering and sentimentality, which is beautiful in itself, the honouring and respect. But when we work with the realm of water, which governs the emotional realm, we can drown in our own guilt, or our own emotional pain or suffering can be quite overwhelming. The relational pain and suffering is at times very hard to bear in our human form. So remember to be compassionate with oneself, to call in the true light and allow the waters to flow so they are not stagnant or repugnant. Bless yourself with the holy waters. Bless yourself with the water, wherever it may be, whether there's a river, a creek, a stream, a lake, a holy well, or the water that comes out of your tap. Allow yourself to call yourself home, and there is much to navigate around checking in with your heart at this time as well. Does your heart feel as light as a feather, and are you allowing yourself the connection with your ancestors, but also knowing that you are your own soul with energy consciousness? And how are you traversing your life here and now with your connection to the land, your connection to home, and your own connection to your body, which is the living temple? Our body is our living temple. We are a living altar. Our body is the earth. Our breath is the air. Our bodily fluids are the sacred waters. So this is the calling back to deep respect to the old ways, the embodiment of listening to magic, the medicine, the bird songs, the sacred winds. The ancestors, as they whisper to you through the sacred waters of memory, of dreaming and the oral traditions of storytelling in the old languages. Softness. There is the softness and opening, the receptivity with the Great Mother Goddess. There is an honouring to be holding the sacred space and looking at where she is moving, where she is dreaming. She invites you to dream well in the softening, the opening, the coming home, the sacred homecoming. There are secrets hidden in the past, and sometimes these secrets hold the key to your own healing. There is deep work in a very profound way to work with ancestral medicine. So, beautiful magical folk, journey well with great magic and love and strengthen your hearts. This is a call for you today to step into your own authenticity, your own truth holding with your own ancestral medicine and cultural practices and language, honouring yourself and finding your own way home. May you always feel the wild magic beneath your feet. Thank you, all you magical cunning folk, for joining me here and sharing our precious time together. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel for magical folk and follow me on any platform where it is that you have discovered me. See you in the wild magical woods.